I've always been part of a mastermind group, and I found anytime I'm in those groups, things significant happens, doors open, resources are shown to me, and so I believe in the power of it. In 2006 I wrote this book, The Power of Masterminding. When I started teaching other people how to do the same thing. We have a gift for you. Tony and I will give you a copy of this later on, okay, before you go. So I want to say thank you for being here. Earlier this year, I was speaking to, well, Tony and I have been speaking. Tony Dada, how many of you know Tony Dada? He's a legend for over 30 years, over 40 years now in this arena, personal development, professional development. We've known each other for many years, and we meet now and then, we talk. And just as some people in this room, I meet them, we talk. Then I started to think, what if collectively we came together and we did things together? Not as black people, somehow we've been doing things in silos rather than collectively. And I think economically things will change in doing that. And so April this year, 5 of us came together. We sat in a restaurant in Good Street somewhere, I think. It wasn't a restaurant, it's a venue. And I proposed this, Tony proposed it as well, and those 5 people said, yes, they're interested in being part of a group like this. Who's here from that? I think they'll be here in a moment. Who's here? Linda was there, Linda? Linda was there, and some of the other members. And then a couple of months later, we met again, and then 5 turned into 8, and then 8 turned into, a couple of months after, 8 turned into 14, and now this evening we have 32 members and guests in this room. So it will become, the Garvey Club, what is it? Let me explain. It will become whatever we want it to be, but let me show you something here. So the history of it was, how do we come together with the intention of supporting each other? The Garvey Club was named in honor of Marcus Garvey. I think we all heard of Marcus Garvey, and wanting to improve the economic situation of black people. So the name, so what we are is a group of forward-thinking black leaders dedicated to creating lasting impact through collaboration, innovation, and strategic action. So we have a vision, and the vision is a world where black excellence is not just acknowledged, but celebrated and empowered. So we are striving for a future where our influence extends across industries, borders, generations, leaving an indelible mark on the global stage. Now, how many of you realize that in this room right now, there's a lot of black talent, yes or no? Yeah. How many of you come across a lot of black talent out there that's underutilized, yes or no? Yeah. So this is what we're saying, that the system's been set up not in our favor. When I say the system, I'm talking about the wider system. So what we want to do as the Garvey Club, for those who become members, is to live the vision, the mission, and the mission is to harness collective power, our collective power, to elevate black economic consciousness and really drive generational change. Right? I was speaking to you just now about wealth, and wealth education is so important. Business education is so important. And I think as leaders, our vision is that we create a situation where economically, we as a group have power, we have influence. So much so, I don't know what size this will grow into, but so much so our vision is that we can then lobby government when it comes to black entrepreneurship and economy. Because often it's not in our favor. How many of you would agree? Yeah, it's not in our favour. So I want us to have a collective where we can make a significant difference. So we empower, elevate and excel together, ensuring that our collective efforts leave a lasting impact on the world. So as leaders, black leaders, we're making a difference in the world. So I just wanted to share that with you very, very briefly. So that's the brief history. If the first meeting, people said they're not interested in meeting up, they're not interested in collaborating, then it wouldn't happen. But you being here shows that there's a sense of wanting to know more about this. So thank you. Thank you again for being here. I think some members are just coming in. I just want to make sure, later on I'm going to go deeper into what does becoming a member look like if you choose to be a member. And I'll go more into what 2025, 2026 looks like as well. We meet 6 times a year. So it's not going to take a lot of chunk out of your time, but we meet 6 times a year live like this. And we meet 6 times a year online on Zoom. So every other month live, every other month on Zoom. So that's where we are. So I'm going to ask Tony to say a few words. I've spoken enough. So can you give it a big hand to our co-founder, Tony Dada?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to be with us this evening. I don't have slides. I just thought I wanted to put a few things together to put context to why I think and why I know that tonight is a very, very special occasion. Anyone familiar with the spirit of Sankofa?
Yeah.
Okay, so I figured that some of you might not know, so I've got a note here. So, the spirit of Sankofa is a concept that emphasizes learning from the past, the present, and the future. The word Sankofa comes from the Aka tribe of Ghana, where Mac is from, and translates to go back and get it. It's based on the idea that the past can be used as a guide for planning the future, and that knowledge of the past should never be forgotten.
Absolutely.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So, I actually believe tonight is a very special occasion. I actually believe our ancestors are in this room with us today. And I want to share a little bit through a story, because as Africans, I'm from Nigeria, Mac is from Ghana, and we all originate from Africa. And so we know that our way of translating and informing is through storytelling. So if you would permit me to just share a story that I hope will bring context to you being here today. So that story began in February 1983. Why? Because it was the month that I made myself intentionally homeless in pursuit of my purpose. Now, why is that relevant? Because at that time, there was a lot of discord between Africans and West Indians. So I was involved in gang life and it wasn't pretty. Such that I decided that literally there was gangs coming to my family home just because we were Nigerians. It wasn't pretty. And so I knew that I was destined for more than this, and so I made myself intentionally homeless. Now, why is that relevant? Because within 6 months, I met someone who became my spiritual mentor. And he was actually a young man of 30 years of age who'd come from Ghana with the intention of empowering black people in the UK. This is in 1983. Now, that person is still my mentor till this day. But I began to learn things with him that just blew my mind and made me realize that when we are of service and when we hold a vision of wanting to empower and make a difference in our communities, magic can happen. And so, inspired by him, I was part of this small group. Now, why is that relevant? Why it's relevant is because I was the baby in that group in my mid-teens. And these were visionary people, just like we are today. And there was one person in that room whose name was Fred, a tramp, Mac's father. See, I didn't actually know Mac. I met Mac through his father 40 years ago. And when I understood what this man stood for and what he was about, I knew that these are visionaries. And so many years passed, and about 25 years ago, was it? I must have bumped into his father in South London. And he spoke to me. He said, "Oh, you should meet my son." When I told him what I was doing, how I'd taken the vision from what I had learned with this small group, and that I was now doing and impacting it in the best way that I could through my not-for-profit organization that was engaging with young people who were society had kind of marginalized. He said, "You should meet my son." And for those of you who are fathers, when he spoke to me about his son, I'm like, I need to go find this guy. So I reached out and we were introduced, we met, and I saw that literally his father's spirit, his father's DNA runs through him, and we began this journey. It's about 25 plus years now. Why is that relevant? Because certainly over the last almost 10 years, I've been saying to Mac, because Mac's a very humble guy, he won't tell you that. I remember we had a conversation once and he said, "Tony, I could literally be speaking every single weekend, like every week I could be in another country speaking." That's how much work he does across the globe. And I was like, "Mac, I get that, but we need you here. Like in the UK, black folk need you here." So we've been courting this conversation, and I've been holding this vision steadfast. "Mac, when are we going to do something?" And then last year, it was this time last year, actually 2 days ago, sadly, Mac's father passed. And for a number of weeks and months, it was just really strong on my spirit that we need to do this. So come February, obviously he was grieving and the family. So come February, I called Mac and said, "Mac, this is the time that we need to do this. What do you say?" And he said, "Yeah, Tony, let's do this." And so for me, coming together and starting, as he's mentioned, is really symbolic because it demonstrates that I believe that we are at a point in time where great things can happen if we allow ourselves to be open, if we understand that the spirit of collaboration that Mac talked about is really what it's all about. The spirit of recognizing that as black people, there's a spiritual dimension to us that we must incorporate. So Mac is very driven, and I was like, "Mac, I've been holding the vision, but what I've been inspired to is that you must lead because you have that skill. Mine is to hold that spiritual space." And so for me, it is a very special moment to be here, because if I had spoken to my younger self 40 years ago and say, "Do you know that 41 years from now, you will sit in a room with black people from different places, Jamaicans, West Indians, Africans, and we will be sitting together in a spirit of how can we as leaders and as visionaries come together?" I would have said it was impossible. So I'm literally witnessing today what could have once been impossible in my mind. That being said, then it means that our dreams and our visions today should border on the realms of what we think might be impossible. Because I'm standing here to let you know that the impossible can be real, can be made real, if we're intentional. So on that note, I want to thank you so much for coming today, and it's with heartfelt gratitude that we are here to come together as a mastermind group. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony, and thanks for those who've just joined us. Thank you. What's this evening going to look like? Well, dinner will be served at 7:30. So dinner will be served at 7:30. It'll be plated. I think they've got a list of what you're going to be served anyway. We're going to have discussions. We're going to introduce and get to know each other, because we all know and heard the anecdotes, the truths. There are certain societies, certain cultures who somehow galvanize together and economically become very, very strong, very, very powerful. And those cultures sometimes are only just turned up in the UK 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. There's other cultures who for generations and generations, hundreds and hundreds of years, because of their ethos, because of their beliefs, because of their religion, they are automatically galvanized and collaborate. Unfortunately, as black people, as you know, we're sometimes disparate. You know, we are separate and we do things separately. Now, economically, to have some power, I don't think, and I'd love to see if there's another thought on it, but I think we collectively, when we collaborate, we can also have that economic power. That's my thinking. Welcome, Josh. Come in. So in a moment, we're going to do some introductions, and then at some point we will get into. I want to get into a discussion very soon, and then go into the concept of mastermind. So let's do some introductions very, very quickly. I want to introduce our chartered members. Let's say our founding members. Linda, would you like to say a few words? Just 15 seconds, really. Who you are and what you do.
I'll stand. Hello everyone, my name's Linda Asham, and for those of you in the room that don't know, I am Mac's better half. I'm his...
Of course.
And so for the past 25 years, I have been running our property business, and so we buy and we build property in the UK, in London specifically, also in Ghana and the Caribbean island of Grenada. I wear many hats. I'm a mum of 3, businesswoman, entrepreneur, and in my spare time, when I do get spare time, I practice the art of Taekwondo. I'm a 2nd degree black belt.
You're thinking she kicks my butt. It's true. She's Dawn with us. Dawn? Right, Tony, do you want to, for those who don't know you, Tony, can you just give a 30-second, Tony? Yeah, 30 seconds. For those who don't know you, what is it you do and your expertise? I know you've just given a...
Okay, great.
Just 30 seconds.
So, you know my name, Tony Bioladada, and my life purpose is really empowering people to live fulfilled lives, inspired by my spiritual mentor brother Ismail Tete. That is what I've been doing for the last 32 years. For 20 years working with young people that society had given up on, and then in the last 10 years working with people in business, understanding that these skills, in terms of being able to empower people to see their purpose and their possibilities through a vision, can make a difference. And so this is what we're doing now through our organization, DADA, which stands for Discover, Aptitude, Develop and Actualize. We are growing a socially conscious network of entrepreneurs globally to make a difference in terms of social impact on the planet. That's me. Thanks.
Good, thank you, Tony. And those who don't know me, give that a Tony. For the past 2 decades, then I've been training and coaching people specifically in wealth creation, business development and personal development. And that journey, that mission has taken me to over 50 countries around the world, trained and coached hundreds of thousands of people, shared a stage with some legends. It's amazing. So it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. So that's what I do briefly. That's one of our businesses, our education company, helping business owners and entrepreneurs to thrive. So, who do we have? So that's our members, very quickly. We have some chartered members. Now, I want to introduce our chartered members because without them, this probably wouldn't happen. In the sense that when they met with the 5 of us, they said, yes, this is important. Yes, I'm willing to champion this. And so, let me introduce them very briefly. Sam's not here yet. Josh, can you say a few words?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, please, Josh.
Evening, everybody. Qualification my tardiness. It's great to see everybody in such beautiful faces. Some familiar, some not so familiar, but looking forward to being very warm. Joshua Dada, business intelligence consultant. I run a business intelligence consultancy and we work with a plethora of industries, plethora of businesses. And I don't do taekwondo or anything like that, but in my spare time, chess and a few languages, one being a newly one, Tigrinya from East Africa, and Spanish. And that's
it. Sharon, please. Sharon.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sharon Vital, works in Tony Dada. I'm a funding expert fast in Tony Dada, works with communities, individuals, empowering families. I'm also really heavily involved in helping families, and especially the ethnic families, come out of what Mark was talking about, poverty, but working with the mainstream, getting people out of care into healthy homes. So work with a lot of foster care panels, healthcare panels, set up children's homes, residentials, family assessment centres. My spare time, what I like to do is to read and write, to actually showcase African experiences so that other people can learn from them, collaborating with other services in terms of making healthier policies, more cultural competent policies, and that's great.
Awesome, thank you very much. Claudine Reid, MBE.
Hi everyone, I'm Claudine Reid, MBE, thank you. I wear many hats, pardon the pun, but for the past 3 decades I've been supporting entrepreneurs and creating opportunities to amplify community and generational wealth. We do that by creating over 10,000 jobs in the health and social care sector through our company, and through our training company, training over 5,000 entrepreneurs. I currently chair the advisory committee for Lloyd's Banking Group, and I also chair, or am the regional lead for the Atlanta Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm happily married to Patrick, who is currently in Jamaica. I'm not happy about that bit. I'm happily married for 28 years, and we've got 2 adult children, many hobbies, many things to talk about, but I'm sure we can get to that eventually.
Absolutely. Richard Answer, please. Richard Answer.
Good evening, everybody. So my name is Richard Answer. I run a legal services firm. Very passionate about financial education. My company called Once, which is own nothing, control everything, which, if you don't know, is a secret to wealth. I personally specialise in inheritance tax planning and trusts. And my passion is really to help people learn the rules of the game so you can play the game much better. In terms of my spare time, I like to read and I love watching movies. That's it. Thank you.
I think we're waiting for a few of our members. They're not here yet. They've been delayed, I believe. So, can we do this? Claudine, can you introduce your member? Just introduce who you brought, and they can speak for 15 seconds.
Sure. So I brought Leonard, Janet, Pauline and Tash. Wow. And I think, is there a prize for the person who brings them? I think
there should be.
But maybe we go Leonard first, then Janet, then Pauline and then Tash.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Pauline. So Leonard from, so a man of many hats, but I'll try and summarise it. So I run an award-winning CFO agency, which has just been launched this year, and I also, really passionate about collaboration. So really happy to be in this room think I was speaking to you before about masterminds. Found about that last year, and now I'm sort of in a room where I'm glad I am. In terms of hobbies, basketball, used to play basketball myself, American football, and a few other things, but I'll leave it there. And looking forward
Thank
to
you,
it.
Leonard.
Hi everyone, I'm Janet. I'm a health coach. My aim is to enable everyone to give them more energy and more fulfillment in their life. I do natural, so I'm a nutritional therapist, naturopath, and also herbalist. So anything that's natural, that's me. You can come and speak to me. So my hobby is cooking. I don't do it as much anymore, but I love cooking and baking. I was doing some baking, teaching my daughter how to bake rum cake today. That's not part of the natural stuff, but and I do love traveling, so that's me.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul Brown. I'm an entrepreneur. I've got a background in property, and I've also been a social worker for over 30 years, and I currently run a business of care homes for young people with disabilities.
Oh, excellent.
My hobbies is art. I love art, and I do paint, and I go to galleries.
Very nice.
Good evening, everyone. Who's got the longest journey here? Anybody from further than Nottingham? Hi, everyone. So I'm Tash Pennant. I run Tash Pennant Consultancy. I speak, advise, connect people to information and opportunity. And sometimes when I call people, they make lots of money. Sometimes when I call people, they go into different rooms and they make lots of connections. So that's what I do in my business. Previous to this, I used to work in a coal mine, and so people don't believe me, but I have proof. And one of the best things about my hobby is it's free. I get to walk by the river every morning and see all the swans, see the geese, and sometimes I talk to them. So I'm now at the job to do that. But I find it's really healthy to kind of keep walking, keep moving, and also to kind of let out the frustrations as the water goes by. So that's my hobby. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks, Tash. Thank you, Claudine, for bringing some amazing guests here. Very good. Richard Anser, I know you brought some guests as well.
Yes, so I invited Medina and lovely Andrea. One more story.
Yeah, Deb's not here.
Right, yeah. Sorry. You guys speak for yourself.
Evening everybody.
Evening.
My name is Medina Mackenzie. I am an independent financial advisor. Why am I an independent financial advisor? Because I think I was fortunate to be born into a family of love and guidance. We didn't have a lot of money, but what we had was a formidable family that just taught all of us how to do more with what we had. I watched my mum foster children and give back to the community. I also went on to be a foster parent myself, and what was missing for most people is that education piece on what and how to do things with their money. So I'm just passionate about helping, create legacy, do the things that people say, help people do what they say they want to do and give them the steps.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Andrea L. Richards. I'm Andrea L. Richards. I run an accountancy practice. I've done for the last 22 years. I've actually recently handed that practice to my sons to run for me while I enjoy semi-retirement for a year while I celebrate my 50th birthday. My eldest son is 34 and he's actually been in the business a long time with me, and so he's a practice manager, and so between him and the senior accountants in the practice, they're getting on with it, and that enabled me to be free and do what I please. My hobbies are travelling. I just love to travel, and I used to say back in the day when I worked in industry, I worked in investment management and international law firms as financial controller, management accountant. I used to work to travel, like that was my job, just to work so that I could get on a plane and leave.
Very good, very good. Tony, you invited some people as well.
Yes. So I think Natasha, I think I've won. Because I've invited Terry and Christian and Donald, Dr. Carlton, Jazz Rose, 5, and Janine. Is Janine here? So
I'm Claudine one, not me. Claudine won that one. She won.
Yeah.
Okay, well, enough, up one. Before I hand over to them to speak, you know, I said to you that history's being made today, yeah? And I told you the story about how I met and how our ancestors are here, i.e. Max father. Well, today, in this room, there are the sons of 2 of those men that was in that small group. They've never met before until today. So, Matt, you didn't know this because I wasn't sure you didn't turn up. So your father was a friend of stand-up Christian, his father.
Oh, for real?
40 years ago. And I only met Christian this year. How deep is that?
Oh my goodness.
I'll just leave it there. So Christian, you're standing, so do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, first of all, it's such an honour to be here. Apologies for being late, but I'm very jet lagged, just got back from Tokyo. I am a singer-songwriter and a shamanic practitioner. So there's one side of it's music, the other side is in the health and the wellness and retreats business. And yeah, the ancestors are here, this is why I'm here, Tony's invited me here. I'm just really excited to be here. So, a hobby is travelling and music. So thank you.
Dr. Carlton?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Is this it?
Yeah.
Hey, Carol?
Carol.
That's the wrong time, right?
Yeah.
I'm learning. I've just discovered recently that I'm 34% Ghanaian, sorry, 35% Nigerian and 34% Ghanaian.
Oh, very close.
And 8% Congolese. So there you go. My name is Dr. Carlton Brown. I'm a management consultant. I'm also a visiting lecturer at uni, teaching on MBA programs. I have a business called Marshall & Brown, and in my spare time I run a conference called the Black Entrepreneurs Conference, which we've done for the last 3 years. Purpose is to kind of help to develop, navigate black entrepreneurship and give them greater access and visibility to the markets in terms of diversity of the supply chain. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jazz
Evening, everybody. My name is Jazz Rose. I started my first coaching consultancy business when I was 17. I scaled it from £30 to £3 million before selling it and retiring at age 34. And since then, lots of people ask me for business advice, so then I started to take it a little bit more seriously, and now that's what I do is advise business owners.
Good job. Janine, is it Janine? Janine, was it? Oh, just, yeah.
Hiya. Hello everyone. I'm Janine Kelly. I manage and coordinate events for the public sector, private sector, corporates, entrepreneurs all over. And my hobbies are singing, also minister of music at my church, and in my organisation, and direct choir nationally.
Thank you. The legend that is Mr. Terry Jarvis. Oh. He's looking for the legend.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say it's really fabulous. It's my first time here, and to see everybody and hear what you've been doing. I was introduced by Tony, but Tony missed out an important part of his story. Is I met Tony many, many years ago. I used to use my media, which is radio and television, to help promote and talk about his events. One of the key acts that you now see, I think JB's doing well on Strictly Come Dancing. And he helped JLS to become who they are today. That's a bit of the story that's really important. That he used to nurture a lot of talent. My background is film and television and music. Many of you will know my show, The Real McCoy, or Top Gear, the car show, or the Olympics, or World Environment Day, and Michael Jackson and Elton John concerts, all that sort of thing. But That's what I do.
And the list goes
did
on.
there, yeah. But really, when Tony was talking, certain things clicked into my mind about why we're here tonight. I'm fortunate enough to have had 4.5 billion people see something I've made and done. So anywhere I go in the world, I have a friend. Most of them are shocked that I'm black, but when Tony and Mac talked about history, I've never had a clash of identity, I've never had a clash of culture, I've never had the feeling of not believing in myself. Because if you look up at the stars, what do you see beyond them? Black. So that's called dark matter. It's the energy that encompasses everything that we know and that exists. And when we're talking about entrepreneurialism, I always think there has to be a focus and a direction to where we are going. And talking about Sankofa, learning from the past to act in the present to shape the future. I did that and got involved in space. I'm currently building a spacecraft with Rolls-Royce, Royal Air Force, US Air Force, NASA. I've never felt there is nothing I could not do. That's not a boast, that's not a claim. It's just because I love to dream at night and read comic books. And then in the morning, I like to think, how do I make that happen? And it's like tonight, meeting you all, and I hear your stories, I'll go to bed and I'll sleep and I'll think, how do I make it happen? With whoever's in this room. And that's the collaboration you're talking about. It can't just because we're sitting around having a nice dinner. There has to be some clear objective and purpose to why we're here. And the challenges are great. There are 12 global challenges. I won't go into them all today, but those challenges are geopolitical and environmental challenges and health challenges that affect us, and everyone in this room that I've heard has a contributing part to play within that. Health, highest diabetes rates, cancer, you name it. You know, environment, most of our countries are sinking, or they've been depleted of rainforest and resources, and our people are starving because the land is becoming arid. If it's economics, you cannot have multi-generational wealth without ownership of something. Most importantly, intellectual property rather than physical property. Because we've got to be able to move around borders. So, that's kind of what I do. I work with governments, NGOs, media, music, video games, and heavy industry. Thank you.
I'm the little guy here. Tony, I've been trying to get into a couple of these meetings for quite a while. I'm not really one that likes to be out in the open. I do a lot of work in the background. My name is Don Stewart, and I've been in business since 1988, running employment agencies, drinks distribution company, property development, and various other things. So my main objective really is to have an overall projection at a bigger level, and then work with everybody in cohesiveness. So one of the big things that, one of the reasons why I'm back in this, in fact I only was confirmed last night, is that I'm almost in tears, to be honest. Why? I've known Tony a long time. My main thing over the last 20 years is to invest in black companies and black organisations, including Tony's company at the very start.
One of the first investor, about almost 25.
So over the last 20 years, my organisation, DAS, has invested roughly £10,000 a year in small business in various ways, mostly cash. And of course, the end objective is to help small business to develop. And the reason why I'm in tears right now is because over the last 25 years, I've been in business for 40 years. Over the last 25 years or so, I've been in this country as a black person growing up. You know how we are from the Caribbean, so like I've found it very difficult to get black people together. I found it very difficult for black people to invest in each other. Even sometimes when you're laying it down for them, will actually make it an opportunity where they can't lose. Now, who in business can invest and don't lose? Stocks and shares, it goes up and down, right? So even when you offer our people an opportunity where they can invest, where their losses will be minimized. Why and how minimized? Because our organization take most of the risk. So what I mean by that is that we will buy land, we will buy properties, and just like we've got a couple of property development over there. Okay, and I'm so happy to have met you. I'm so happy to meet all of you. Why? Because my dream has come true. And it was Tony he will probably tell you one day that I was in a state where I was saying, all right, I'm out of this stuff. Yes, just 1 second, I'll finish. I'm out of this. Yeah. But I'm back in. And I'm glad I'm back in because I've met you guys. Yeah. So, and my hobbies are just golf and swimming.
Linda, yeah, thank you, Don. Linda, you brought some guests as well.
Yes, I did. So I have Michelle, Tunde and Addy today. We also had another guest, Gillian Joseph, who's the Sky News presenter. She sends her apologies because she had to get called into work on an emergency. So Michelle, would you like to start off with your introduction?
Great. Hello, I'm Michelle Watson. I'll start by saying I was once a train driver taking people from Stowe to Brixton. Until I decided that, okay, great, that's not the destination I wanted to take them from and to. And so I tapped back into my journey, or as they normally say, your pain becomes your passion. And I wrote my first book, did phenomenally well with it. The second one did very well. And then thought, okay, great, maybe I have something here. And so I started to show many women, because there was a point in time in my life where I lost my voice, being in an abusive marriage, attempting suicide, and I thought I almost killed that girl. I didn't know who she was going to become. And so I realized that I had a passion for women that may have given up on their dream, given up on their purpose for whatever reason, and that's where I started. And I've had people like Michelle that's spoken at my event. Tunde says, good seeing some familiar faces in here. And funny enough, the beginning of my journey of firstly learning about personal development was you on stage. Me? You. This is 2005, I think I attended MMA. And it was very weird because I sat there seeing him on stage, the only black man out of the whole of everybody that was on stage, and I said to myself, I need to find a way how I tap into this personal development. If it can get you into rooms like this, making impact like this, then I need to find out what it is. And that started me on my journey. I think I've told you, Linda. Yeah, and that started me on my journey. So that's where I am.
Thank you, Michelle.
My hobbies, I like writing.
I like writing. Tunde? It's your turn.
I absolutely hate talking. I would call myself an entrepreneur. I work in consultancy. I'm currently Chief Technology Officer with Tata Consultancy Services. I sit on the board of a couple of companies, Zamari, so I invest in mining. I've got properties as well. And I've just set up a company that's going to be using software as personal assistant. Nice. My hobby, what's my hobby? I love drinking whiskey, so like I am absolutely, I am not one of those that would kind of look after my health, but I think I need to start doing that. And my, I guess, should I say that what makes me famous is I'm married to Gillian that couldn't turn up this evening. And that's it.
Ade, please, yes.
I didn't realise I can have to speak actually. So I'm Adi Wishman Bio. I work in construction and property. I have done for 25 years now. I've been involved in all sorts of property construction kind of works. I've probably worked in some of your favourite shops, some on this street actually, and some hotels. I've done Park Lane, I've done airports, schools, hospitals, from Sussex, Surrey, Brighton, and I've done a little bit of property development, just converting some like flats in London, and just working locally really. I actually did, a couple of years ago, I decided that I would actually try and seek out black clients. So I actually had one project where the client was black, I'm the project manager, I'm black, all my workers were black, and the whole system from top to bottom was black.
The result? The result?
No, it was a good result.
Oh, excellent.
We actually took over the project. It was, I think, a Cypriot builder, and it completely messed this girl's house up. It was her first ever house. She was only 28 that she purchased. It was in Barking. She actually grew up in Stanmore, but she couldn't afford it, so she had to go to Barking. Guy completely destroyed her house, and we actually went in there and we fixed it up for her. It took 2 years in the end from when she bought it to when she moved in, but she was really happy.
Fantastic.
I've had it on the other side as well recently in the summer. The client was black, I'm the project manager, black, everybody's working for me is black, and then she didn't pay me. Yeah. So I'm still actually trying to get some money back.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. We've got people in the room and we're all trying to work together, and it's really, really important that we actually believe in each other.
Absolutely.
You know, from top to bottom. Because I'm going out, I'm employing people who are black, and I need black
We're going to talk more about that. Good.
Yeah, definitely.
Remember Claudine, the discussions previously, Claudine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is an issue, but we'll talk more about it. So I'm glad it's been... It's in the room now.
Yeah, it is.
All right,
it's definitely in the
give
room.
him a hand. Give him a hand.
Can I just say one last thing? I've heard a couple of people mention about being working in fostering. I've been a foster parent. I actually grew up as a foster kid, and I actually grew up in a white family down in Littlehampton in West Sussex. So one of my hobbies now is actually sort of learning about my culture, learning about my people, my family. So I actually only got reconnected with my biological family when I was 15. And it was this guy here, my brother, who actually started to introduce me to like my cousins and the wider family, who I had no idea about when I was growing up.
Who else? Yeah, food's going to be served now. We'll continue as normal. Dawn, do you want to say a few words? Dawn is one of our founding members. She was there when the first 5 people sat down and started conversing as to what this would look like. Go ahead, Dawn, stand up and 30 seconds, Dawn.
Hi everyone, and welcome. It's nice to see everyone here. I am a tech professional, I would say, also an education professional. I started off my career as a teacher. I do part-time college lecturing now, and I run 2 businesses. One of them is Black Economics. It's a website that's been going for 19 years now that shares information about black trailblazers, entrepreneurs, professionals, people who are doing well. The website at its height got about 2 million hits a month, and we also now have a YouTube channel where I've interviewed several people, both here in America, Africa, around the world. So the idea is that we're spreading the information about the fact that black people can do very well in business and in professional life, and some doors have been opened because of it. We've held various conferences and seminars, and we're also organising a trip to Rwanda as a kind of trade mission next year. So there's a lot of things happening. It's good to see you. I'm a writer as well. I've written 20 books. I have a publishing company, so if anyone needs help with writing or wants work published, I'm able to help with that. I also design my own websites and other people's websites. That helps when you have about 10 websites of your own. Saves you quite a bit of money, you know, but that was my field when I was head of department, head of IT, when I was a teacher. Okay? Lovely to meet you.
Politely, he says, politely. Let's have a look. I brought some guests as well. So let's have a look. Where are we? Emmanuel, the E-Man effect. Please stand up and introduce yourself very quickly. Emmanuel.
Hey everyone, I'm Emmanuel Supo. I'm a financial advisor, TV personality, author. I help people with their money. We have a financial advisor, FCA regulated, where we do pensions, investments, and so forth. I also do financial education for people who are not quite at the level ready for finance. I'm also an ambassador for the NSPCC, where we go around schools teaching kids about money and finance and so forth. And I have a comparison website called One Stop Save, where we help people compare their car insurance, home insurance, and all those types of things as well. And that's me. Great to meet you.
Michelle Raymond, please. Michelle.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Raymond. I am a leadership coach and trainer. I deliver my services in the corporate sphere. I also run a business called The People's Partner and an event called the Diverse Business Summit. I have dual residency here and also in Dubai now. So I'm selling properties in Dubai as well as doing my own business out there. And what else can I say in terms of hobbies? I sing, yeah. I do DVs with my cousin, and we sing for lots of celebrities. And yeah, I'm glad.
Before the night is out, we will hear your voice. Tunji, please. Tunji.
Hello everyone, my name is Tunji Olujimi. I'm a book publishing coach. I coach people to write and publish their books. I'm also a pastor. Me and my wife run a ministry and a Christian networking and events business. We run an event called the Kingdompreneur Summit, which Michelle has spoken at, Manuel spoken at, and a few other people. Michelle also has spoken at my events as well. And I sing and lead worship too. I'm a worship leader and a pastor.
Thank you. Daniel, have you said anything yet, Daniel?
No, I haven't.
Who's guest? It's my guest. Oh, sorry. Let's do this properly, Daniel. Beg your pardon. One of our chartered founders is here. Balaji. Balaji, please stand up. Yes.
Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Childcare issues. My name is Balaji Olatoy. I'm a sales automation specialist. I build seven-figure systems for high-level entrepreneurs and companies. I'm also a big proponent for financial inclusion. And this last year I've been kind of all over the world giving workshops on how AI can be used to build businesses and level the playing field with technology. And I'm really excited to be here. I look forward to engaging with you.
Thank you very much. Please tuck in. We don't want the food to get too cold and the soup to get cold, and we'll continue as we eat. So please tuck in.
Big up myself. I think, quick story. I remember being in the bus 25, going through the city, looking out the window, thinking, you know what, I want to do that one day. And then I did. Ended up getting into banking, worked for some of the biggest banks on Wall Street. Done that for about over a decade. I then transitioned into business transformation. I work with founders and exec teams to deliver high complex projects by creating their vision, creating a narrative, come up with a roadmap to navigate their complex projects and transformation. I've delivered change over every continent apart from Antarctica. So if you work in Antarctica, come and let me know, please.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Just wanted to take a moment to introduce the most beautiful lady in the room, my wife. It's that one, introduce yourself. I can say that. It's got a mouthful.
Good evening everyone. So my name is Fumi, as already said, I'm his wife and co-founder and business partner of our company, Altitude AI Consulting. And I am very excited to be here and looking forward to networking with you all and having a lovely exchange of minds. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Been Pauline Brown already since you spoke already? Where's Pauline? You spoke already at the beginning, didn't you? Yeah. You did.
I come from royalty, just for you to know. So I run a number of businesses. I trained in the UK, and I left the UK in 2008 to set up my own business in Ghana. So I actually chartered in the UK as a construction manager with CIOB, and I got a job in Dubai in 2008 during the credit crunch for $150,000. And my uncle said to me, young man, come home and start from scratch. So I did. In 4 to 6 years, I made my first $1 million contract. And just to talk about believing in blacks, like we're talking about it, when we won our first $1 million contract, we were forced to employ a white supervisor. And I said, it's never going to happen under my watch. So we stayed. We had all the black guys work for us, and in the end, we were adjudged one of the best subcontractors on the job. And within that year, we had almost about $3.5 million running. By God's grace, our business is now one of the leading fire protection engineering firms in Ghana. We own a property development firm in Ghana. And at some point, my wife forced us to come back to the UK. And 2 years ago, so I started a hedge fund, which our vision is to be able to decentralize investment and make investment more accessible to people that unfortunately don't have $100,000 or £100,000 to invest with the bigger boys. So we're competing with the bigger boys. So we have a hedge fund, and we started a property development firm as well in the UK. My hobby, I used to be a good singer. Actually, I thought it was going to be the next one.
Got a duet coming on tonight.
But unfortunately, my mom didn't want me to go that direction, so I had to get back into school. But I do like to walk, and I've started playing golf, so maybe I'll learn a few things from you. All right, thank you.
Andrea, did Andrea speak already? Andrea? She's not here. Oh, you did? Yeah, you spoke earlier. Yeah, you did. Sandra, where's Sandra? One of our chartered members. I did see her earlier on. Sandra? Oh, there you are. One of the, I will say that I think Sandra joined us on our third meeting, and one of the things she said was, what is this group? Where's this group going? And from there, we created a manifesto based on what she said. So a lot of the stuff you'll see on our website later on was driven from the fact, what is this? And if it's not going in the right direction, I don't want to waste my time, no one should waste their time. So I want to thank you for that, making that happen, because it's part of what's created this, so thank you.
So I'm Sandra Aday. I've renamed myself as Sandra Atram Dagger Reed. And now Raymond. I'm adding Michelle's last name to my name, so that's my last full name. I used to work in television, so I started my career at CNN. So I finished a degree in journalism and went to CNN. And before that, I did some work experience at Billboard magazine, working on the country or Western Music Awards. But since then, I've worked for Discovery, Disney, National Geographic. I spent 7 years in the Middle East. I was in Dubai for 4.5 years. I spent 2.5 years in Bahrain, and we did a integration from Italy of a broadcaster wanting to be closer to their subscribers. And then when I moved to Showtime in Dubai, I worked through the merger of OSM Since then, I came back to the UK, and then I started subcontracting and just working with IT Romanian Sky, developing programs for younger people getting into the industry. I always try to spend a lot of time focused on the black students, because I always told them we don't have an easy ride. So whatever they did, if it means that I broke my neck to get them through the programs, I would. Since 2020, I'm going to move on to now. So this year has been a really massive transitional year. I launched something called Ignite, which is a day party for marginalised voiced business people, just with the Tower Group in Bond Street. And I did that because I know so many people, solopreneurs, that don't know where to find each other. And I had purchased a ticket probably just before my event in June. I purchased a ticket to Tony's event, and Tony subsequently called me about 3 or 4 days before the event, and I thought he received an email, and he said no, he hadn't. So I said, why don't you just pop along to the event? So we came to the event, and then he met a lot of people that I know personally, because it was just a launch, and I think he could see the vision of what I was doing, but I also saw the vision of what he was doing as a conscious entrepreneur. And I used to do events in central London in the early 2000s called Consciousness. It was conscious hip hop, because I'm a hip hop head and a bashment. And so from going to Tony's event, which I thought was brilliant, then I met Michelle, but Michelle, I said happy birthday, and I was probably like a stalker. So I couldn't figure out how I understood who Michelle was. But then I went to my email, and I had signed up to her newsletter probably about a year ago. And so after that, I went to her event. Then I saw Dr. Carlton Brown, and I was intrigued by Terry Jarvis at the Conscious Socialpreneurs, and I'd met Mac and Linda, and I was just like, okay, so finally I'm starting to find my people. Because sometimes you just feel like you're on your own, like literally. You want to do things, you're struggling, you don't know who to talk to, who to turn to. And I sometimes just think like, maybe this is not for me. So I actually just got a job, so I could just chill, buy a house, and just not worry about the world anymore. But the world did something to me and left me on my back on my own to say, right, go out and do your stuff. So I wanted to say thank you to Michelle, thank you to Tony, thank you to Mac and Linda, and also thank you to Claudine and also Mr. Samuel. There's a lot of patience these people have, right? And one of the things I want to just let you know, since your event, I've had calls this week with energy companies. I'm also just in talks of becoming an executive leader, advisor for a Danish company to do some digitalization project in Africa, East Africa. I also have people a lot in funding, so I think we need to have a conversation because we're about to do a hedge fund, and I know they're probably looking for about 100 mil, but there's somebody I have that works in the Houses of Parliament and Lords that is going to help me. So I do have a lot of people, it's just that people, my kind of people, they're very, very private. So when I have tried to invite people, they're like, Sandra, I'm not sure. And I'm like, okay, give them time. Because sometimes we need patience with other people to get them comfortable. Rather than saying, and I was just at the Black Equity Organisation event just now, that's why I'm late. And Timmy, who's the CEO, I actually hosted Women in Project Management, and I also just launched Re-Emerging Women for Women in Construction, Globalised Majority. And I now have an advisory board, and that includes the only black leader at Thames Water, who's a friend of mine, and she's the delivery director. And there's a whole host of others, including a white trans person. 1 second before I finish. But what I want to say is, even though, and I think Michelle said it, sometimes you just want to give up because you don't know what you're doing. But sometimes you just have to keep going, even if you feel like you're just grabbing at crumbs. Because it just doesn't, you don't know what is in front of you. So one foot in front of the other, a door will open, and then another one will open, and another one will open. But I'm Sandra Ade.
Say something. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just conscious of time, because you know time will fly. So I just want to I think we've got a couple more introductions. And let's do that. Oh, Mr. Sam, where's Sam? Sam. Hello. Sam Ribanjo. Please 30 seconds, please.
30
seconds.
Yes.
It's 15 for you for being late. So.
Alright, first and foremost, good evening all. Obviously I came late, so I take that responsibility on, but I'm so happy to be in this room with team people I haven't seen in a while. Samuel Banjo, I'm a Forex trader and I'm a Forex trainer. I'm an investor, especially in Nigeria real estate. I'm also heavy into tech. I like playing with things, AI. We've built some incredible AI tools in marketing that are really working. And here, just to connect with people and to, do something positive. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I would say Sam is one of our chartered members as well. So thanks for his input and direction, which is helping us go the right way. Is there anybody else? I have a feeling. Is there anyone else who hasn't introduced himself yet? Okay. Excellent. Debs, while you're standing up, Debs, do you mind telling everyone who you are?
Yeah, so I've missed everyone's introductions, but I'm here now. My name is David Osikita. I'm the founder of Stock Pickers Academy. Some of you, I can see some faces, you've probably heard of me before. Some of you, I see a lot of new faces as well. If you haven't, it's an investing community, so I'm a personal trainer up for investing. So if you're going to buy a house, you come to see me. If you're going to buy a stock, if you're going to buy a crypto, if you're going to learn about a new asset class, art, I'm pretty much your man, and I'm surrounded by a lot of experts like Richard, who will do all our wills and trusts. We've got financial advisors like Email Effect, who will guide you through that financial advisory journey holistically. My background is I grew up in Peckham, lived next to the guys that killed Daniel the Taylor. That sent me on a journey where I kind of focused on education and football. Did well academically, started as a trader at Goldman Sachs in 2009 at the age of 20. Went on a journey of about 12 years in the industry, worked at Barclays, worked in a quantitative hedge fund. And along the way, 6 years in, I realized that I'd never checked my pension and I wasn't actually looking after my own finances. But I was managing $8 million for the bank. So I realized that there must be other people in my position. So I was everyone's guinea pig. I said, I'm going to show you everything I do in my pension, every transaction I do, picking stocks in a pension. And over time, I was able to 10x that, let's say 8 years, I was able to 10x my pension. But I took people along the journey. So they actually saw what it was like to do a transaction, what the screenshot was like. That I didn't just put everything into Apple shares and it did 10x. It was actually a very slow, lazy, boring routine. Like you buy a stock in January, you buy another one in August, nothing happens, then it goes down. You wait it out, in March you buy a bit more, and then 3 years later you're out with 100% or 80% profit. And over time, I was able to average about 29% return a year. Aside from that, when I was a trader at Goldman Sachs, there were only 3 black traders on the floor in London. So from 2008 even to now, I've helped over 1,000 people get into the trading floors, investment banking, who are ethnic minorities, mainly black. Some of them are now very, very senior. So they actually help mentor people that start internships now. I've got someone inside I can refer. So I'm a career coach, I'm an investing coach, and I support entrepreneurs. So in my group, my community, there's about 4,000 people. So if you're a business owner, you can advertise for free on weekends when the markets, well, crypto's open, but generally when the markets are closed. And my theory is, if I support you in that way, you find new clients, you get new customers, your money goes up. Who's going to help you as your investing coach? It's still going to come back to me. The black pound is still going to get circulated. I've exceeded my work count.
How many of you feel the talent in the room? I'm like, wow. Wow. I used to say to Tony, it's okay when we meet and we talk in, I'm getting inspired, and I meet someone else, talk and I'm inspired. But when we are here collectively, that's just on a different scale, exponential. So I want to continue moving. I think everyone's introduced themselves now. It's taken a bit longer than I thought, but all is good. Now, the question I wanted to bring up, because usually these meetings we have after introductions we have a discussion point, and that discussion point is about 15-20 minutes before we get into the real mastermind. And the discussion point, or the question I wrote down is this, and I will go down that line or go down Ade's line, which is, why does that happen? So the question I have is, how other races collaborate for economic growth, and what we can do? I want to open that discussion, if we want to go down that line, how other races collaborate for economic growth, and what we can do as black people. The other question, if we wanted to park that, would be to continue where Ade left off, where with all good intention, it provides a great service. And some of us have similar stories where it's your own people that let you down. So which one do we want to go? The races, or they're all very important topics?
The latter.
The latter. Everyone's shaking their head. Like, which one? The first one or the second one? Other races?
Can we do both?
Interlinked in a certain way. Okay, so I see that you're interlinked. Let me throw this out there, and then it ties in very well with what Ade was saying. We know in the Jewish culture, they do things in a certain way, and they have something that gels them together. They are going to the same synagogues. And so if one lets one down, the whole community knows. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So with that point, I want to explore that a bit more. Because if we are going to have economic power and influence, what do we need to do as a group? Terry wants to say something. Go ahead, Terry.
I think when we start to talk about the races, in terms of their almost what seems like instant economic successes, whether you're talking about Ugandan Asians, Pakistani, Hindu or Sikhs, actually they're not one group.
No.
They all, you know, like the Tamils control the forecourts and the petrol stations, and it's pretty much controlled by them, so they build up the property. The Sikhs are in the construction and engineering. The Hindus pretty much control high street retail, small shops, blah, blah, blah.
Can you hear at the back? Okay, Josh? Yeah. Okay, good.
And the Jews, you know, it goes back to, I guess, the Reformation and people like Oliver Cromwell, because remember, in Catholicism you weren't allowed to make a profit, a bit like in Islam, you know, how you trade. So the Jews were given money lending roles on behalf of others, and because that was seen in quotes as a dirty business under the religious order of the day, Jews ended up in finance, right? And the name of this is the Garvey Club, and we have to look at why did Marcus Garvey's vision of Pan-Africanism fail. It failed. You know, his ship was called the Black Star Liner, which was opposite to the White Star Liner. The White Star Liner was based in Belfast, in Ireland, and they pretty much controlled the transatlantic cruise ship business and import and export business, and their famous ship was the Titanic. Now, in those days, to do that kind of international trade, it wasn't just about having a ship. Like anybody in business will know that you have to be delivering to somebody where you clear import or export duties. Well, Marcus Garvey had the ship, but he had no port to dock because Africans didn't control their own ports. They were controlled by whichever European power of the day controlled that country. And the same in the Caribbean. So we couldn't trade with each other, primarily because it's more than just a ship, it's more than just a vessel. So when we talk about the issues of race and economics, we have been economically stunted by really it's like cartels, how cartels operate, and the banking system operates a bit like that, and to a large degree big property businesses, certainly around here, operate like that. So sometimes we superficially say black people can't work together. Well, actually, a lot of black people don't know each other. And the thing is, we're talking economically, but there's a social element to this. That you can go to many African countries and they will not know the history of their neighbor because the education system wasn't set up like that. There'll also be tribal differences with who controls more of certain parts of the economy than others. The Caribbean, it's a bit different, but still it's mainly dominated by the Americans because they control, them, the British and the French, control pretty much all the trade routes going. So really, I think we have to be cognizant of all of that, and I know it's a history lesson, and I don't mean to be giving anybody a history lesson, but you know, when we talk about economics, I've forgotten, there's the politics of economics is also a racial politics, just like anthropology, there's a racial element to it, which is why you will find in Arab countries there is this lack of recognition for the African contribution. That, remember, we talk about Africa today as we know it today, but really before the Suez Canal, Africa and Africans extended right into what we now know as the Middle East. It wasn't until, and remember, this is quite late, this is, you know, after the Romans, so, you know, 65 AD on, that the Arabs then went back into what we now know as the Middle East and Northern Africa. So, as Tony pointed out, if we don't know what we did before and what we built and what we did, and there's an importance to that history, by the way, which is most of you, from whatever country you are, when you go back to that country on a visit, have you ever all visited the museums? Yeah. And have you seen the state of the museums? Yeah. Right? And you cringe sometimes. But have you been to the museums in the West? And have you seen how much they own? And how well they preserve it? And much of it, I would say 90%, probably more, you have not even seen. They're kept in archives. I'm lucky to have seen them in my documentary years. But importantly, when we're talking about economics, because at the end of the day, we're talking about economics, and economics feeds our education, our health, our defense, everything. So if we don't have an economic base, what's happening to our young people is really a travesty, because, you know, a society pretty much is judged on how it looks after its young and its old, because then if you do that, everything in between takes care of itself. And so economically, right now, as we know, our youth, you know, yes, we have, you know, Stormzy doing what he's doing, getting people into Oxford, and Baroness Amos and all of that, but it's such a small percentage And then you've got to think about the ripple effect, and how does that reach without us having any control over communications and media. So whilst we're sitting here, and it's nice, and we're getting to know each other, and there are things that have got to be done, I think economics cannot really exist without communication. Because what are you essentially doing? You're communicating to your buyers, in actual fact, your clients, your customers, to generate the economic wealth. That's why when every despot, dictator takes over a country, what's the first thing they do? They don't go for the bank.
Education.
They go for the communications. Because the communications drives everything.
So I'm just going to open it up a bit more. Yeah, thank you. I think that history lesson deserves a big round of applause by itself. Go ahead. Yeah, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I totally agree with all being said. And for myself, I said earlier in my long speech, is that we must never forget the grassroots. Yeah, we speak about education, but we must never forget where all these other communities that we're talking about. It's okay for us here who have made 20, 30, 40,000, whatever it is, £1 million, £5 million, or whatever it may be. But we can not, this is where Tony, I think you're very much, I mean, I'm sure we all are, is that we must remember that the grassroots is very important. And when it comes to education, and this is where my organisation, I think, deems it very important, from the lower level. I know if you look at the Asian community, I work a lot when I do distribution with the Asian companies, Pakistanis and Indians and so on and so on. We talk a lot about getting to university, doing a degree and all the rest of it. Yeah, okay, that's all okay. We need degrees and we need all that sort of stuff. But we also need to understand that our children need to be educated about their history, and also as well all the other things that is needed to make our culture work.
What would you say that is?
Sorry?
You said to make our culture work.
Well, first of all, if you look at the Asian community, it started basic. I mean, when I first came to the country in 1960, we talked about the Asian man working in food, making sure that they're selling food in grocery stores and all that sort of stuff. They're building from that, they then start buying land and property, and then their children goes into higher education and so on and so on. So we need people right across the spectrum, from shopkeepers to mechanics to mechanical engineers to roads to people who do clean. Everybody is needed right across. So let's make sure that what we do goes down.
Yeah.
We have to get to the
Dr. Carlton wants to
to build up.
Dr. Carlton wants to jump in. Thank you very much, Mr. And then I'll go over to you.
Thank you. I think there are a couple of things. I think one is singular is trust. And historically, we haven't really trusted each other.
Yeah.
True.
And I think
if I may, no, I just want to engage, so that it doesn't become a one-way communication. I really want to know why we don't have trust.
I'm coming to that. So if we think about the notion historically about trust, where did that derive from? You know, we know the old colonial tropes about those in the house, those not in the house. We have colorism still in our countries, but we don't actually trust each other. I can remember growing up that we had a lack of trust. If I was from Ghana or from Nigeria or from Jamaica, there would be a lack of trust, even within ourselves. So I think that still exists to some degree. But also the other side of that coin is about what I describe as social capital. What do we actually do as a community when we demonstrate opportunities? Now, two great examples in this room. Recently, Claudine, she said she hosts the UK, chairs the UK Chamber of Commerce, the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. Now, I sat in on that meeting. As a consequence of sitting in that meeting, there was an opportunity for Ricardo Beres, who's someone who Claudine hosted with from Atlanta. And I recognised there was an opportunity for a business in the UK, and I connected both of those two businesses together, and they're now doing business. Why? Because there was a trust element, that social capital that Claudine was introducing to someone that was of value, because she trusted that individual. She's developed a relationship. So the consequence of that, I took someone else to do business. They've now done some business together. Or I'm still in the process of signing off on doing that business. The second person is Tash Crennan. Now I run a business called Marshall & Brown as well, but Tasha took me to Birmingham to introduce me to a guy, it's a £200 million business, Jason Bora, to introduce me. She didn't have to do that. So how often do we leverage our own social capital where we do have currency in a room? Do we actually introduce, because there's a lack of trust within our own community? So that's where I'm coming back from. So there's a historical legacy that we still carry that emotional legacy of trust or lack of thereof. And we don't actually utilise it. But when we do, we can demonstrate, you can see that we can actually make an economic difference because we're opening up and creating access to opportunity, because that's what we lack, is the access to those opportunities. So that's the answer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carlton. I'm just going to go to, is it Donald? Yeah.
Oh, Daniel.
Daniel, and then Mr. Prince over here, please.
Yeah.
I know you've been waiting for a while. Oh, you wanted to say something to him?
After this,
yeah.
Who is up on the back of that? Maybe just go over that so it flows. Mine's a separate point.
Prince wanted to jump on the trust thing.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say was, your question was, what has the other race done that has made them very strong economically? And why are we not able to become economically strong? Two things. The issue of trust is a conscious effort. Listen, nobody knows anybody. You've got to be able to give people the benefit of the doubt to be able to work with them. It may work, it may not work. Listen, business in life is an appropriation of risk. You may win, you may lose, but you've got to give it a chance. So I think that if we really want to be able to make a difference, we have to start making that conscious effort. And when I see my sister and I see my brother, we are one. I will give you the same opportunity as I would give to a white person. Back in Africa, right? I know a number of you have not actually been to Africa and worked in Africa. When I left the UK, I threw away my passport and I stayed in Ghana for 15 years. And that's what I told my wife, that if I can't make it in this country, I cannot make it any part of the world. And I did make it because I gave people the opportunity to work with me. And I believe that a lot of people also gave me the chance. Listen, when I was in the UK, I used to live in an Indian house. And what we realized was, for them, there was no pedigree. There was one community. So this guy and this guy and this guy will come together, put their monies together, and they'll buy one house. And then after that, you have about 13 people living in the same house. And this is a story you all know. Yeah. How come we have not been able to do it? And I don't think it's a matter of trust. It's a matter of the fact that we've not given ourselves the opportunity to be able to make it work. I bought my first property in Liverpool, converted into HM when I said to myself, I'm renting it to black people. End of story. And I don't care whatever you tell me. People tell you, well, Africans will destroy your house, they'll do this and they'll do that. And to be very frank, yes, it's possible. But I said to the guys, listen, this is me. I'm an African, I bought this property and I want you guys to live in it. And I've done it to a very high standard, I want you to be comfortable. And then I took one guy as a champion of the house and I said, you know what, I'm giving you a £50 rebate, you manage the house for me, as though it's your house, right? Now this guy calls me and said, boss, the next house is for sale. Do you want to buy it so that we can start building a block? I think it's about time we start making that effort and giving people the opportunity to work together. And that is where we will start. Now, in terms of educating and getting to the grassroots, like, sorry, what was your name? Don said, I think the teaching of finance is not on our tables when we go home. It's totally detached. My kids will wake up in the morning and they'll see me do what I do. And I said to them, listen, I've got to teach you how to make money. One thing I realized was when I take my kids to the shop, they want to buy everything in the shop. Then one day I said to them, I said, we need to establish a budget. My kids, my first daughter was 5 years. From that point, she's 14 years now. Every time we go out, the first question with my last born being 9 is, Daddy, what's our budget? Because they know you have to stay within the budget. So we plan the budget from home. Now when I started my investment fund, you can imagine who my first investors are. My son tells everybody that he's invested his first £60 with me. He's 9 years. And he tells his friends, that my daddy is going to compound my fund. And every day, in fact, I give him access. He sees how his money is growing. He teaches that to his friends as well. I think if we can start from there, start from our individual homes, we will be able to start building a strong bond where eventually people will begin to have trust. Listen, with your story, just last with your story, it happens, all right? You may find some black people who may be a bit shady, but you shouldn't give up. The more we continue to do it, eventually people will recognize that we can work together.
Great point. So these kind of comments, and I'm going to go to Claudine in a moment. Daniel, did you want to say something?
Yeah,
I just want to add that these kind of, what we're discussing now is hence reason why the Garvey Club exists. That we have to become the proponents of what we've got to become the leaders and perpetuating that forward. Not even amongst ourselves, but in our society and the next generations like you're doing. And there is an element of trust, because that person who you said, look, £50 rebate, you have to trust him. And if he let you down, you'd have to find someone else. So trust comes in all business, in everything. So I do agree on both sides. Yes.
I'd like to.
Claudine's waiting.
Can I pick up on the trust piece?
Yeah, trust piece, and then we'll move on. Yeah, go ahead.
Just because I think it feels like it's a heavy topic in every community, and I've had the opportunity to sit around the table with different types of cultures, different people from different cultures. And they say the same thing that we're saying here. And I wonder if, Matt, you said, what can we do about it? I wonder if part of the solution, it's quite complex, right? We have the education piece, we've got the communication piece. I also think there's a legal piece. And the legal piece is, we don't know each other enough to trust each other, but we do trust the governing documents that manages or has the boundaries about our relationship. So when we talk then about education, when we talk then about education, there has to be a piece around our legal understanding of what trust is and what governs that relationship. What do you stand to lose if you break this covenant? That is what determines whether or not we go into business with each other. If I've got nothing to lose, then sure, I'll sign the document. But actually, if I realise that this is what I stand to lose if I breach my covenant, I'll think differently about that. And I wonder if we can progress our conversations to increasing our knowledge about those legal covenants, so that we can make progress.
Okay, so I'd like to just pick up on that. Thank you for sharing. I've just been listening to what people have been saying. So I've just been listening to what people have been saying, and one of the things that I'd like to bring to the fore is what I have experienced. So I'm not talking about a theory, it's what I've experienced as a result of investing in our community for over 32 years. If I did not hold on to a vision, and this is what I was taught through my spiritual mentor and this group, if I didn't hold on to that vision, I'd have been out a long time ago. I could tell you stories. I mean, Terry talked about the JLS story. They still owe me £2 million. Like, there are many stories. So why am I still here? I'm still here because it's written in the good book. Through lack of vision, a people perish. Yeah. And you are here today, not because of the physical, but because of that which lies in the invisible. Am I making sense? Yeah. Our vision, the vision that I've held, our conversations, that is what's missing. Terry talked about the need for social relationship. We as people, we are spiritual, and relationship is so important to us. Hence the reason why we now have this community of socially conscious entrepreneurs. If you look up the word entrepreneurship, it actually has nothing to do with money. Its spiritual component is about what is your undertaking. What is your commitment that you are aspiring to, you've committed to want to make a difference, a contribution? In the 30 odd years that I've been in this space, I've found that people are too quick to want to make money. And so when I'm talking to them about this is what we can do, because I'm not making the millions, because I'm investing all of my money into the community, it's not recognised. It's had to take 20, 30 years for people to now begin to see the benefits of this. So I'm saying that, do you have a vision? Are you committed to making a difference in our community? Are you thinking about what I can give as opposed to what I can get? These are the things that many of us talk about and say this is how it is, but the truth of the matter is, it isn't really like that when it really comes down to it. Are you ready to make that commitment? That'd be my question.
Can I just come in very quickly?
One minute.
Is it possible?
Daniel's been waiting for a little bit. Daniel's been waiting for quite a bit actually, and so Tash, one minute. So thank you very much, Tony. Daniel, go ahead.
No, thank you. I align in terms of, there's not a conversation that just only being had around black communities. I think we've also had the same conversation as well. And maybe there's a reframing of the question in terms of how do groups succeed? Because we've spoken about, you mentioned Hindu, you said black people, you said Jews. That includes races, religion, etc. And this is about people coming together when they've got something in common. That's where you get the community talks about something in common. And you can have degrees of closeness in terms of you can have distant relationships, close relationships, now we can have a degree of trust. And a lot of these things that come down to communities are consequences. So for me to stay within this club, this community, or this group, I need to follow certain rules, rituals and patterns, or maybe disqualified from this. So in terms of a lot of times people would, back in the days, would like, if I do this,
understand. And that is what I call divine timing. Yeah. Lloyds Bank, NatWest Bank, HSBC Bank, they're all looking for the black entrepreneurs that are turning over 2 million and above. You should ask yourself. There's a reason why. So in terms of help, Claudine, we should have that conversation because that's part of the creative process that I'm designing with HSBC. How can we, because they do exist, but no one knows how to access them. And so if we can create something, a vehicle that will act like a magnet and bring those businesses out, then you can support them in the way that you want to. Is that right?
Yes and no. So I respect that everybody under the clock is equal. We've all got 24 hours, right? And I'm not trying to give anybody work. You're not my team of staff. What I'm looking for is that they just fall into the ecosystem. So it's not anything that we have to create. It's not a structure. It's not anything. They are here, and so that what I'm trying to get to is that when the chambers say that they want to come to Europe, then we already have a pool of people who meet the criteria that if they want to leverage the opportunity, they fall into that ecosystem. So I don't want to necessarily create another system, another board, another committee. I just want to be able to know where they are. And it could be as simple as a LinkedIn connection. It could be as simple as saying, look, these 5 people follow Claudine, follow Leonard. Leonard's the UK lead. When the Atlanta Chamber comes, then we can sit down around the table and have high-level conversations, because what we're looking for is to create a vehicle for growth, to create a vehicle that says we can trade in these respective countries. Let's establish special purpose vehicles. Let's create joint ventures. Back to the legal documentation that I was talking about. It might be that there are opportunities in Atlanta, in Nigeria, in the Caribbean, to be able to have joint venture partnerships and collaborate in a slightly different way. So I'm not looking for a new structure, just to help me identify where are these people.
Okay, so what's the number you're looking for?
The number of people.
Yeah,
the
number of
businesses.
entrepreneurs, yes, who are trading at more than 2 million.
500,000. The banks want half. The banks want that
Sorry,
number.
yeah,
So if I backtrack again, Tash, correct me if I'm wrong. DBT want 500,000, right?
500,000.
You don't work for them anymore, but yes.
But I will call you if I've got people up.
Okay. So DBT, the Department of Business and Trade, will support those individuals who are trading at 500,000 outside of London. But the banks Lloyds in particular want 3 million. You're saying that West May wants 2 million.
HSBC was 2 million and above.
HSBC. So it's in our interest to collaborate. It's in our interest to create a special purpose vehicle that can meet those numbers, and we may not be able to do that on our own. But if 2 or 3 of us can get together, create an SPV, we can then sit down around the table. Then we will have the ear of the banks, Tony, that you're referring to, because at the moment we are being told what they can do because we don't have the financial clout to make those levels of demands. So
Yeah, but how many?
How many do I want?
Yes.
I can pull a number out of the air, 200.
So okay. So with regards to the Lloyds project, they had 90.
90 people applied to
Right.
win £150,000 worth of TV advertising on Channel 4.
Right. Okay. So the number you're looking for is 200.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you have any methodology by which you are able to?
That's what I want your help for.
And that's the point I'm making, that we should have a conversation.
Okay. I've got Jazz and then Tash.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, do you have some sort of online forum where those people can go, even if it's, for example, like a WhatsApp community, and then if you had a short presentation on exactly what you were looking for, exactly what the requirements are, I'm sure that all of us in this room could funnel people into that session. They can see it, and the call to action is join the WhatsApp group or whatever, wherever it is that you want to host that platform. So then you've got a few hundred entrepreneurs who are at that level. Before they join the group, they have to fill out an application form, workflows for largely. So providing their revenue is at a certain level, they get into the group. If it's not, they get an email saying, I'm really sorry, this is not the right opportunity for you at this stage.
Thank you, Jazz. Send your invoice to...
And he will.
Point. So that's the Lloyds Banking Group point. The Lloyds Banking Group changed the criteria for people to enter into the funding, so it was any money, and then when I checked with Carlia, it's £250,000 upwards. That's why the numbers have changed.
Yes.
Those applications are interesting.
Yes, it has to be businesses that could leverage the opportunity. So just to qualify what Tash was saying, we did the competition last year, and we had over 1,000 applicants. But the 1,000 applicants were just ambitious people, right? If you said to anyone in the room, you want TV advertising, but you couldn't handle the impact of business that was coming through. So this year we changed the criteria. So now those big businesses that have to apply have to be trading at 250,000 and above in order to leverage the opportunity. And because of that criterion, now we've gone from over 1,000 to 90. But that's the reality of the situation. And there could be more, but maybe your business isn't fit for TV advertising. You know, there's a plethora of reasons. But then at the same time, what we want to do is amplify that, because I think somebody else made a point earlier on about the messages that we're sending to our children, and if we're only sending the same messages to our children, they will aspire to those same things. They need to see the types of people who are around the table, see your businesses on TV in order to make that shift in their mindset. Did you have a contribution?
Yeah, just asking a quick question really. Regarding the funding, the funding that will be given is not, there's no charges involved in it, is there?
Hold on, funding.
Well, I really don't know how that funding works.
TV advertising.
TV advertising.
Is it free advertising for the company?
For the competition,
For the winner.
Channel 4, it's £150,000 worth of TV advertising to create the advert and have it aired on TV.
Marketing done.
So it's just marketing, and the company don't have to pay anything back.
That's correct. But the competition
So that's
is closed.
important. No, that's not.
the short list of 20 is now on
that's
LinkedIn,
fine.
Channel 4's
Just for
LinkedIn
the
post.
future.
Okay, let's hope they do it again. But the only way they do it again is if they get the visibility that they need. They need those businesses to apply. Thank you very much.
So
Anyone
on
else?
one side of it, you're looking for us to introduce you to those people, introduce you, and then you can follow through as long as they meet the criteria. The other side of it, I'm thinking bigger picture. Is there a way of putting a campaign together, a marketing campaign, to say, look, are you, it's more, I know you don't want to do the work, but maybe, I mean, you and I use the word joint venture a lot. Maybe there are people that we know who already have access to those people. That's where my head is going. So if you're not going to create the work, then it's down for us to say, okay, what organisations, what companies, what audiences are influencers are we aware of who have those black entrepreneurs probably doing over $500,000 or more. So okay, got a picture.
Because just to add to what Mac is saying, there is a definite and a desperate need for these institutions to want to get to black businesses. So there lies the opportunity, Claudine. And so you might not need to necessarily do all the work, but we do need to find some kind of marketing mechanism that can attract these people to you, to the hub, as Jazz has just said, so that we can have this continue. Because if you're not able to provide the numbers, what's going to happen? They won't do it next year.
Oh, sorry, I think we're talking about two separate things. There's one thing for Lloyds, but whether or not Lloyds do that is going to be up to them and their budget and their arrangement with Channel 4. But the thing that I'm asking about is separate to Lloyds. I think it's an interesting piece that we can go back to Lloyds and say there's X amount of entrepreneurs who are interested, but it's a completely separate issue. The issue right now for me is about where are those black entrepreneurs who are trading over a certain criteria that I can pull them into an ecosystem, because the ecosystem is about wider opportunities. We're having international trade conversations with, so far we've done Nigeria, Panama, Colombia, South Africa, the UK, and they want to do more. And what we're looking for is, if there is an entrepreneur in Atlanta, Nigeria, Panama, and the UK, is there a mechanism in place that we can combine our efforts, create an SPV, so that we can supply Amazon, so that we can supply HSBC global, not our tiny communities, which is fine if small is beautiful, right? But if you want to go bigger, then in order to make that happen at pace, then it might be the collaborative approach that helps that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Claudine.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, if there's no other member inputs, I'm going to go to non-members at the moment. Okay, no other members? No? Okay. Josh, anything you want to say?
Right next to the woman that I need.
What's that? So you're collaborating with Linda?
No, well, I mean, I'm going to Oxford, so outside of this. And maybe my friend there, I think his name is Adi, the developer, the VM. It might be something that I want to talk to you about separate from this in terms of development project that we have behind them.
Come see me.
One of my, that I want to ask on behalf of the Garvey Club is, we are looking for a home. Obviously this is a Thistle Hotel. And our original venue, where we were going to meet instead of here, it just didn't work out. Black owned, you can imagine. Well,
you want to know?
That's what happened.
Yeah.
In Andy's case, do you want to go?
Yeah. So what I think happened is, it's around Christmas time. We booked the venue. It was a new relationship, and I think somebody just offered. Personally, I think somebody just offered them more money, and he turned around and said, "Oh, sorry, I'll double book."
Sorry.
No, I'm not going to say more.
Andy has just suggested he'll build a place for us.
Andy, yeah. So let's talk.
Yeah.
In terms of building, now, how many of you have ever been to any of the prestigious private members clubs, Soho House and all? Right. I've asked all round, and maybe someone can answer this. Are there any black-owned private members clubs in London? I know outside of London there are a couple, but in London, because I'd like for us to be using their facilities, their hotspots, their meeting rooms, their venues. And if there isn't, maybe it's down to us to, like Eddie said, let's create our own. So I'm looking for that, very high level, prestigious. Yeah. If you know of any, please share. That's my answer. Yeah, Leonard.
I don't know someone who's doing that. Well, I know someone who's planning to do like a black space.
Yeah. In central, in London?
In London.
Okay.
In Barbican.
She's a lady. She's just raising capital.
Just raising capital. So I think she's looking to,
So it's very much needed. So yeah, let's continue sharing. Let's continue sharing on that. Daniel?
That's
Don.
it.
Sorry, Don. Okay, Daniel, Don. Yeah.
I don't need to stand up. One thing that we're trying to do is the name of the company is SAY. Now, our format is quite simple really. What we've done over the past, it's a new company, so about 3.5 years ago. Prior to that, we've been buying and renting and developing land in London for the last 20 years. So from Greenford in Ealing all the way to Mitchell. Okay. Now, what we've decided to do over the last 3 years is to set up a property management company. All the legal documentation, registering the house, etc., etc., etc. So we have done over the past 3 years. Now, what we're doing, and what we'd like, is that more people use our organisation as a management company.
As a property management company.
We buy land, we develop buildings, like the one you see there, and so you'll come in handy for that as well. We have a team of professional builders. We have an architect that actually do our buildings, and 2 architects, black. And they're all black workers. All black people. The management structure is black. Yeah. And what our organisation decided to do, we have about £2.5 million in assets. Okay. And what we've done is that we've put all the assets into a majority of the assets into a limited company in order to give us strength. And what we want the black community to do is to invest inside. So we're producing shares inside. And what I want is that all the black business, all the black businesses, and people who are able to invest inside, to buy shares in the company. And of course, with that comes dividends, etc., etc., etc. And there will be issue shares and so on and so on. And the money that comes in from the actual shares up until 2026, all who have shares will have dividends, will have shares in the company. And of course, at the end of each financial year, when all the accounts is done, if there's dividends to be issued, it will be issued. Okay, up until the end of 2026. After 2026, obviously, the money that we raise, we will be buying land and developing property. We'll also need your inputs as well. If you feel there's a loophole somewhere, please let me know. Okay? Or if you feel, well, there's something missing, please let us know so that we can actually put it into our paper. So what we're looking for now is for as many black businesses and black people to know about science and start buying shares in science. Any questions?
How do we exit?
Well, of course you can sell your shares. You can sell back to science. You can sell back to science, preferably, of course, at the market rate. Of course, or you can keep your shares. It's entirely up to you. After 2026, so 2027, only people who have bought insights at that time will continue holding those shares. Any new shares will be in the new buildings that we buy. So up until 2026, anyone who invests up till that time will have shares in all the sites, in all the buildings that we have at this present time, and all the development that they have at this time. Updates after that, then anybody who buy in will have shares in those new buildings that we will be buying at that point. So all the money we raise will be going back into sites. Obviously, there has to be balances, checks and balances to ensure that everybody, what the shares are worth and so on, but it's all through the legal processes as any other share is issued. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, just one for me.
Yeah.
I'm quite familiar with that structure.
Yeah.
Because companies that do that and go on to do really, really well end up on the stock market as a REIT, where you can actually buy shares in these companies in your pension and in the stocks and shares ISA. I guess I just wanted to be sure that that's kind of what Is that a long-term goal?
That's a long-term goal.
Eventually list?
Yeah, as we get larger.
All right. So there's a massive problem with financial literacy, as we know, especially in the UK. And sometimes the difference between someone saying, yes, I'm going to invest, but people have the money, is actually having someone that they can, that can break it down, what you're saying, in a language that they can understand, to open. There might be a few people at this table that could do that.
Yeah.
They've heard you speak and it sounds interesting, but they might not necessarily execute. So where I come in to potentially facilitate trying to increase the conversions, I've got a network of investors anyway from our community, and our class is as like a private REIT. That's how I explain it to them, because they know what a REIT is. So one thing you can do is, if there's anyone that you know that could potentially be an investor and just need someone to explain it to them, you can send them to me. I can become their investing coach, and I can make sure that I'm also their due diligence machine on everything that they do with their money. And what that will do for you is, it's not you sending a message, but sometimes you need someone else to send a message, break it down, do the due diligence, and then categorize the opportunity in a way that can let them give them a chance.
That is outside of our legal, legal team and accounting team, somebody from our company. Yeah, we're quite happy with that, and of course we need more platforms to advertise the property business itself. We need more platforms, because we're looking at actually helping our people to invest in properties in the correct way. We're looking to develop more facilities for our organisation, to hold events like these, and I think that's one of the goals of science, is that every penny that we get is reinvested into more land and more property. We have a number of companies.
So maybe it's a conversation that Debs and yourself can have. See how I like the idea.
And anybody else who want to be involved, please do. Yeah. If you've got any databases that we can advertise, or we'll have to do that. If you want to charge us, you get it.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, Don. The long-awaited Dr. Carlton book is coming in 2025. Could we hear a little bit about it there? Because I tried to order it, but I can't get hold of it.
So, simple ask. Has anybody got a phone? Remember your phone? Just about. Simple ask. Last week, I'm publishing with a black publisher, by the way, called Jacaranda Books. And to keep us current and relevant on the agenda, I've just written a book called The Race Paradox: Why Organisations Fail on Race. Now, last week you got to #1 on Amazon Kindle as the best new hot book, and you got to #4 on the book front of the best new hot book, allegedly. Now, get your phones. If you go to your phones on Amazon, The Race Paradox. See if you got your phone. The Race Paradox: Why Organisations Fail on Race by Dr. Carlton Brown. It's there. Please give us a nudge to get to #1. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Black and white cover.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for you. I've already done the action without you even prompting me, so waiting for that to come out. Any other guests who Dubai is happening next year sometime? Why are you keeping quiet? We're here to talk. Janine, give her an elbow.
You see to check out, you know?
You're so shy.
Oh no. Wait to self-books. Wait to self-books, eh?
Okay, 1 minute, guys, please.
So next year, 2025,
Your attention.
we are organising the Diverse Business and Tech Summit. So we're introducing AI and technology into the event. So it's still around supply diversity and getting diverse suppliers, getting their visibility, but I'm expanding it to include tech as well, so that we can get more tech investors, tech sponsors and tech businesses. So if there's anyone here who is interested in attending the event, please see me at the end, or please see my events manager here, Jenny. And yeah, so it's taking place in June the 25th to the 27th. It's 3 days, and we'll have a gala dinner on the last day, and we've organised excursions as well. So we've got some good brands from all over the Middle East. So it's not just, although we're hosting it in Dubai, we have other countries in the Middle East, and also from the US, Nigeria, and obviously in the UK. So yes, and I've got one other ask actually. While I'm here.
You didn't want to talk before.
Yeah, and we're looking for sponsorship. We are looking for sponsorship, and the other ask I have is. What? Yes, thank you. So, anyone else who would love to expand into the UAE, namely Dubai, please speak to me. If you have businesses, if you want to exhibit, or if you're interested also in investing in property as well, please see me about that. Thank you.
Before we move on, can I, Mariusz, and your staff? Where's your staff, Mariusz? Tell your team to come in. All right, so I want to acknowledge the fact that Mariusz and his team have looked after us this evening. And it's not an easy thing to organise, but Linda got involved and organised everything and liaised with the team here, and I'm sure you'd like to join me to give them a big round of applause. Thank you for your service, really appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Okay, any other asks? So yes, sorry. Yes, Terry, the legend that is. I have to precede it with.
So, actually, I'm not going to say anything about what I need. I'm going to talk more about what I think I can do for each and every one of you and your extended groups or databases. It's an opportunity with the Bank of England and the Royal Mint and the Royal Medalist, the person who makes the honours that some of you have, and the military honours around the world.